My girlfriend wants her ex to be at our wedding because they're still best friends, and I told her it's either him or me. I never thought something like this would come up during wedding planning. I'm 30 years old, been with my fiancée, let's call her Anna, 28, for 4 years, engaged for 1, and we've been living together for most of that time. Things have been smooth overall, plenty of small arguments like anyone, but nothing deal-breaking. We balance each other well. I'm a logistics guy, I thrive on plans and order, and she's more spontaneous, artistic, the type to start a painting at midnight because she's suddenly inspired. I've always loved that about her, even when it makes me roll my eyes. But this past month, we've been knee-deep in wedding details, and one fight has overshadowed everything else. She insists her ex-boyfriend, Mark, should come. Not only come, she wants him in the front row. She says he's one of her closest friends, that he was there for her through a lot, that they've known each other since college. She says friendship doesn't end because romance did. And look, I can respect that in theory. I know people who stayed friendly with exes, but this feels like a knife in my gut. Here's the thing, I've met Mark multiple times. He's tall, charming in that way that feels a little too polished, like he knows exactly how to make anyone like him. He plays guitar, volunteers at an animal shelter, makes small jokes that people eat up. On the surface, he's harmless. But the last time we saw him at a group dinner, I couldn't shake how his hand lingered on Anna's shoulder, how she lit up when he teased her, how they slipped into old inside jokes that left me feeling like an intruder. Maybe I'm insecure, but I know what I saw. Familiarity. A history I'm not part of. When Anna first mentioned inviting him, I tried to laugh it off. You mean the ex you dated for 5 years? The one you lived with? The one your mom thought you'd marry? She nodded like it was nothing. Yes, that one. He's important to me. I want him there. I said, that's insane. She said, no, what's insane is pretending he doesn't exist. We went in circles for hours. She said it wasn't about him, it was about acknowledging her whole life, that Mark was a friend who supported her through breakups, job searches, even family drama. She said excluding him would feel dishonest, like erasing a decade of her life. I said a wedding isn't about friendship roll calls. It's about 2 people committing to each other, and I shouldn't have to stand there saying vows while her ex watches with a smile that says, I had her first. It spiraled. She accused me of being controlling, of not trusting her, of letting jealousy dictate our relationship. I told her if the roles were reversed, she'd never be okay with it. I asked, what if I invited my ex, the one I dated for 3 years, the one I almost proposed to? She hesitated. That's different. How? I pressed. Because she broke your heart, she said. It's not the same. I wanted to laugh and scream at the same time. So her ex gets a free pass because they're still friends, but mine wouldn't because we're not? That's not logic. That's favoritism. We've had 3 blowout arguments since. Each time it ends with me saying, I don't want him there, and her saying, I won't uninvite him. One night I actually packed a bag and almost left to cool off. She cried, begged me to stay, said we shouldn't let this ruin everything. I stayed, but the tension has been thick ever since. We go through the motions of planning, venues, flowers, menus, but every time she says guest list, I feel my chest tighten. What makes it worse is her family loves Mark. Her mom still comments on his Facebook posts. Her dad plays golf with him sometimes. Her sister calls him the brother-in-law she almost had. So when Anna told them she wanted him at the wedding, they all nodded like it was the most natural thing in the world. Now I feel like I'm the lone crazy person shouting, doesn't anyone else see how weird this is? Last weekend we went to her parents' house for dinner. The topic came up over dessert. Her mom said, of course Mark should be there, he's practically family. I set my fork down and said, no, he shouldn't. The table went silent. Anna's dad cleared his throat. Son, it's her day too, I said, and it's mine, and I'm not sharing it with her ex. Anna's sister rolled her eyes and muttered something about insecurity issues. I wanted to flip the table. Instead, I excused myself and stood outside for 10 minutes breathing in the cold night air, wondering what the hell I was doing. When we drove home, Anna was furious. She said I embarrassed her, that I made her family think I don't trust her. I said I don't care what they think. I care about what's right for us. And this isn't right. She crossed her arms, stared out the window, and said nothing for the rest of the drive. Since then, we've been polite but distant. We talk about guest counts and caterers, but we avoid the elephant in the room. Last night, I finally broke. I said, "Anna, this can't go on. It's either him or me. If you want Mark there, then maybe I shouldn't be." She froze, her eyes wide. "Are you seriously giving me an ultimatum?" "Yes," I said, "because I can't marry someone who thinks it's okay to make me share our wedding day with their ex." She started crying, said I was being cruel, that love shouldn't come with conditions. I said love also shouldn't come with a front row seat for your ex-boyfriend. Now I don't know what happens next. Part of me feels like I did the right thing, stood up for myself, set a boundary. Another part of me wonders if I overreacted, if I let jealousy and pride push me into a corner. But I can't shake the image of Mark sitting there as I say vows. I'd feel like a fool, and I refuse to start a marriage feeling like one. The next morning, I woke up with that burned-out feeling you get after a night of half sleep and full arguments. Anna had already left for a morning yoga class. I stared at the ceiling for 20 minutes and then did something I knew might make things worse before it made them better. I texted Mark. I kept it simple. "Hey, can we talk? Just you and me. Coffee?" He replied in under 5 minutes. "Sure. Noon? Ember Cafe?" At 11:58, I was at a corner table pretending to read the menu. He walked in at 12:03 with the kind of confidence that looks like it was ironed. Leather jacket, easy smile, the whole soundtrack. We shook hands. It felt like a job interview where the job is, don't punch your fiancé's past. "Thanks for meeting," I said. "Of course," he said, settling in. Anna said things got tense. A tiny fuse lit in my chest. "She told you that?" "She texted last night. Said she might be offline today," he said. Then held up his hands. "Hey, she didn't give details. Just said you weren't happy about the invite." "Right." I took a breath. I'd rehearsed a cool speech on the drive over. It evaporated. "Look, this isn't about hating you. I don't. I think you're fine." He laughed once, startled, and then amused. "But I can't promise vows with an audience that includes someone who shared a bed with my wife-to-be. That's not insecurity. That's a boundary." He watched me for a long moment and then nodded like I'd passed an exam. "I get it," he said. "I do." For what it's worth, when she told me, my first thought was, "Is that smart?" I even said, "Only if he's cool with it." She said, "You'd come around." "That's the thing," I said. "I'm not going to come around like this is about a new restaurant. It's my marriage." He leaned back, considering. "Can I be frank? Please. Anna has a hard time letting go of narratives," he said. "Her family canonized us when we were 22. We broke up and she managed to keep the 'we're all still family' narrative because it hurt less. I didn't fight it. It felt easier to be the good guy than to be the exiled one." "So you'd be okay not coming?" I asked. He smiled with a hint of relief I didn't expect. "I'd be okay? I'm not trying to front row your vows, man. I want her happy. If me not being there is part of that equation, I'll send a gift and a postcard from far away." It should have solved everything. It didn't, because it wasn't just about his chair at our ceremony. It was about the fact that he was the one who had to step back, not Anna stepping up with me. "Thank you," I said. "Really, but I need Anna to be the one who uninvites you. Not because of some power trip. Because I need to know she's choosing us." He nodded again, this time slower, fair, for what it's worth. "I'm seeing someone," he added, almost sheepish. "A nurse. We met volunteering. She doesn't love the idea of me at my ex's wedding either. So if Anna calls me and says, 'Hey, it's better if you don't,' I'll say, 'Honestly, thank you.'" We shook hands again and he left. I stayed staring at a cold coffee and feeling like I'd defused a bomb and then realized the house was still on fire. When I got home, Anna was on the couch scrolling her phone, hair still damp from a shower, the soft sweatshirt she steals from. Me hanging past her wrists. She looked up, saw my face, and put the phone down slowly. "What did you do?" she asked. I sat, hands clasped. "I talked to Mark." She blinked. Her jaw tightened. "You went behind my back?" "I went to the person whose presence is detonating our engagement," I said. "He said he'd bow out, if you ask him. He wants you happy." Her cheeks flushed. "So my ex and my fiancé made a plan and I'm supposed to perform it?" "Anna," I said carefully, "I need you to hear the part where he said he wasn't trying to force his way into our wedding. He's not the one making this a hill. You are." She stood up, paced 3 steps, turned back. "Do you know how exhausting it is to feel like every part of my past has to be sanitized to get your approval?" "No," I said, trying to keep my voice low. "I'm asking for exactly one boundary at exactly one event. Our wedding. I am not rewriting your history. I am asking for our future to start without the peanut gallery of old love stories." Her eyes were glossy. "It's not a love story anymore. It is to your mom," I said gently. "It is to your sister. It might even still be to you a little bit. Not because you want him, but because you like the story where no one ever leaves your life. The story where everything is. Still connected?" She sank into the chair like I'd punctured something. "It's not about him," she said, small. "It's about me. The version of me who made it through hard things. He was there for some of those. If he's not there, it feels like that part of me gets erased." I moved to the edge of the couch. "Then we have to find a way to honor that part of you that doesn't involve putting him in the front row at our vows. We didn't fix it in that moment. We didn't fix it that day. We went to bed facing opposite directions and stared at separate darknesses. In the morning, she said, "We need help." I said, "I agree." We booked a premarital counseling session for the following Tuesday. The counselor, Dr. Lyons, was in her 50s, the kind of steady presence that makes you want to confess to crimes you didn't commit. She asked for the facts first, and we told the story without the adjectives. Then she asked what we were each afraid of. "I'm afraid of humiliation," I said. "I'm afraid of standing up there and feeling like a stand-in for a happier past. I'm afraid of erasure," Anna said. "Of having to present a version of myself that started with him removed, like I'm a house with rooms locked." Dr. Lyons nodded like someone had solved a math problem and said, "So, humiliation and erasure. 2 sides of belonging. What would belonging look like to both of you at your wedding?" "No exes," I said, acknowledging the people who helped. "Me become who I am," Anna said, "without making my fiancé feel like an intruder." Dr. Lyons had us do an exercise where we each listed 10 names of people who made us who we are today. Parents, siblings, friends, teachers, a neighbor who taught Anna watercolor, my high school coach who shoved a college application across a desk at me and said, "Try." Mark was on Anna's list. So were 2 past roommates, her favorite professor, her grandmother. Then Dr. Lyons said, "Star the names who need to be at your wedding to honor that impact, and circle the ones you can honor in another way." We both stared at our lists. I starred my parents, my sister, Marco. Yeah, I laughed. At myself when I realized the symmetry. My mentor at work. I circled my coach and wrote "letter" next to his name. Anna starred her parents, her grandmother, gone now but represented in a brooch she planned to pin inside her dress, her sister, her best friend Tasha. She circled her professor and wrote, "Invite to rehearsal dinner?" Then she looked at Mark's name for a long time. Her pen hovered. She circled it. Next to it she wrote, "Note? Photo in album?" She looked up at me with wet eyes. "Would that feel like enough?" I didn't sprint to yes. I let it settle. "It would feel like grace," I said. Dr. Lyons asked us to write a boundary statement together. We drafted, "Our wedding is for the family we are making. We will honor the people who shaped us in ways that don't intrude on our vows." It sounded like something you'd cross-stitch and hang in a hallway you actually walk down. We left lighter, not fixed, not triumphant. Lighter. That night, Anna called her mom on speaker. "Mom, I need you to hear me," she said. Mark isn't coming to the wedding. Silence. Then the inhale. What? Why? Honey? Because our wedding is for the family we're making, Anna said, voice steady. We'll honor people who got me here in other ways, but he won't be there. Her mom went through the cycle. Confusion, persuasion, high-key guilt. Anna didn't bend. I need you to support this, she said, or to be quiet about it. Her mom tried one more angle. He'll be crushed, Anna said. He already told us he'd be relieved. The silence that followed was almost historic. I texted Mark after, she's going to call you. He wrote back a thumbs up, and a minute later, proud of you guys, Anna called him. I sat in the kitchen and pretended to organize a drawer. I heard her say, I appreciate you, and this is the right thing. And after a pause, thank you for understanding. When she hung up, she came into the kitchen and leaned against the counter. He said he'll send a gift, she said. He also said he's happy for me, for us. She let out a breath. I didn't know I needed to hear that. We were not, as it turns out, done. Because families don't update their narratives just because you change the script. 2 days later, her sister posted a throwback photo on Instagram. Mark with their family at a beach barbecue, captioned, Always family. Comments flooded in. Miss this! He better be sitting with us in June. Can't wait. Anna saw it, sighed, and texted her sister privately. Please take it down. Her sister replied, You're letting him control you. Anna wrote back, I'm letting myself choose. The photo stayed up. Anna muted her sister for a week. Without ceremony, we moved our wedding group chats onto a new thread without the sister. It felt petty and necessary at the same time. Two true things can occupy the same chair. We met with our planner, a friend of Tasha's who does events at the Botanical Garden, and finalized details that had nothing to do with Mark. A trio for the ceremony. Tacos for dinner because we are not salmon people. A dance floor big enough for chaos, but small enough for photographs that looked like closeness. We wrote our vows with Dr. Lyons' sentences taped to the table. No erasure, no humiliation, honor without intrusion. 2 weeks later, we went to a friend's engagement party. I hadn't realized Mark might be there until we walked in and saw him near the bar, talking to Anna's dad. My stomach tightened, but then he saw us, handed Anna's dad his drink, and walked over with his palms out like he was surrendering to a friendly army. Hey, he said, smiling at both of us. I got your save-the-date postcard. We sent digital ones that said simply, we can't wait to say yes. Looks perfect. Thanks, I said, meaning it. He looked at Anna. I listened to that band you sent me, he said. They're good. You were right. She laughed. They shared a 3-second moment that felt like an epilogue. Then he turned to me. I'm gonna head out. My girlfriend's shift ends early. He winked once to remove any sting. Congratulations, guys. Truly. He left. Anna's dad wandered over, confused by a universe in which Mark exits gracefully. He's not coming? He asked. Anna said, Nope, and we're all okay. Her dad looked like he'd discovered a new animal. Huh. A week later, Mark's gift arrived. A small, framed print of a watercolor. 2 chairs under a tree, string lights above. No note, just the piece. Anna stood with it in the kitchen for a long time. I'll put it by my desk, she said. Not on the wedding shelf. Not in the living room. Her desk. A place for the past that doesn't dominate the present. We told Dr. Lyons about all of it at our next session. She smiled and said, belonging without an audience, that's marriage. We laughed because it sounded like a riddle, but I knew what she meant. The closer we got to the wedding, the more the noise dropped away. There were still last-minute dramas, seating chart wars, someone insisting we needed chair sashes. We did not. A cousin who doesn't RSVP like it's a personality trait. But the center was calm. Our vows took shape. We practiced saying them, without collapsing into nervous giggles. We ordered tacos and tasted margaritas and chose a song to walk back down the aisle to that made me want to run instead of walk. On the morning of, I woke up stupid early and watched the city blink itself. On I made coffee and sat on the floor with my speech cards, rearranging sentences that didn't need rearranging because my hands needed a job. Anna woke up an hour later, hair a mess, eyes bright with a kind of electricity I wanted to frame. She sat next to me, leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "Thank you." I said, "For what?" She said, "For not making me choose between the person I was and the person I am. For just asking me to choose us." We got married under a canopy of leaves and secondhand lanterns that Tasha found on Facebook Marketplace for $10 and made look like a magazine cover. My mom cried, her mom cried, her sister cried, and then after the ceremony hugged me with a grip that said, "I fought this and I was wrong." During the toasts, my dad said, "Today isn't about who was here before, it's about who will be here after." People cheered. Somewhere, I think, a narrative retired. Later, when the trio packed up and the playlist took over and the tacos had been raided, Anna and I stood at the edge of the dance floor watching our families braid themselves. Together in real time. She squeezed my hand. "Do you miss anything?" she asked quietly. And I knew she meant the version where she kept everyone everywhere always. I shook my head. "I liked the room we made." She kissed my cheek. "Me too." We danced to the song we'd picked to exit to, and people threw biodegradable confetti, and no one in the front row thought, "I had her first," because no one in the front row ever had to. We went home with leftover churros and a watercolor of 2 chairs under a tree leaning against my desk until we found a place for it that made sense. We opened the cards from family and friends and whispered thank yous into the living room. I looked at Anna and thought, this is how I wanted to start, honest and unobserved by ghosts. A week later, a postcard arrived from the animal shelter city across the state. The back said, "Wishing you belonging without an audience. M and K." I stuck it inside the wedding album next to a picture of us laughing in a rain of lights. Every marriage inherits a past. Ours did too. The difference is we didn't invite it to the ceremony. We gave it a seat somewhere else, honored, named, and slightly out of frame, so the picture in front of us could be the one we wanted to live in. And I don't know if that makes me less romantic or more realistic, but I know this. I didn't feel like a fool when I said my vows. I felt like a man who chose the right audience for the rest of his life.